Remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on more awesome content. So, the most hyped episode since the mid-season trailer came out finally came to light. But there's just a simple question on everybody's mind. Was that 3-second fight fucking worth it? First off, if you haven't seen the episode yet, go watch it, and R.I.P. Maul. Just needs to be a moment of silence for one of the best characters Star Wars put in there. Although he got put into a terrible movie for the most part, he still was the highlight of that movie and by far one of the most fun Sith Lords to watch. So, it's sad that he's gone, but it had to happen. Now, back to the episode. This is definitely going to be more of a review than anything. So, let's get into it. First off, yes, the fight was 3 seconds long, but let's just break something down really quick about Rebels that's not really entirely, I guess, it still kind of like confuses people about what Rebels exactly is and the style it is. Rebels has showed us a side of Star Wars that we probably would never have gotten otherwise without Rebels. It's showed us a world of Star Wars where the lightsabers are pencil thin. It's showed us a world where Yoda kind of looks like a hideous monster. It's showed us a world where the lightsaber fights are more samurai-like than anything, not choreographed, but they're just more real samurai fights, just like in episode 4 with Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan. This world of Star Wars that we have with Rebels almost became Star Wars that we know and love today, but due to a few creative differences, it didn't happen. But it's being brought back to life in Rebels, and honestly, I kind of like it. It's a different take. Yes, it's something that people are definitely not used to. I, for one, have nightmares about that damn Yoda. But again, the fight was 3 seconds long. But if you look at the style of the fight, that shit was classic samurai. It was beautifully well done, in my opinion. It was a beautifully well done 3-second fight. And it put closure to kind of a relationship that has never really had closure otherwise, except in, certain iterations of comics. So, yeah, I mean, it was 3 seconds. Could it have been longer? Yes, they probably could have added a little bit longer of a fight, in my opinion. But at the same time, I honestly like the fact that it wasn't a long drawn out fight, and Rebels doesn't really have those long drawn out fights for the most part. So yeah, that's my opinion on the fight that people either loved or hated. I thought that once again Rebels had some wonderful filmmaking. As someone who loves filmmaking, way into the kind of behind the scenes stuff and all the extra little stuff that most people don't look at besides for film buffs, I think Rebels does very good in that aspect. They have definitely some creative and talented people that do the show Rebels, and it just kind of it either works with you or it doesn't. That's just how it has always been for Rebels. People have always had the biggest complaints about some of the stuff they do. Now, as far as the episode as a whole, right off the bat, I'm just gonna say this: the episode, yes, was super hyped to be a showdown between Obi-Wan and Maul, but honestly, this episode was pure homage, and I'm gonna count down the different ones that they've had in this episode because there was quite a few. So, let's just get started with the first one. Ezra traveling to Tatooine and Chopper in the back seat. That was pretty much an homage to Luke traveling to Dagobah with R2. If you pay attention, the camera shot and everything is kind of the same, and on top of that, they're both heading to find a master that they don't know if that master is alive or even exists anymore. It's kind of the same thing. They're both going to an unknown planet to find someone who they don't even know if they're there or not. The next homage was when Ezra and Chopper were in the desert, and they basically Chopper doesn't want to follow Ezra because he's like, maybe I should go that way or whatever, and then he grudgingly comes along just complaining the whole time. That was definitely an homage towards C-3PO and R2-D2, both on when they were on Tatooine, and of course R2's like, we need to go this way, and C-3PO is always complaining, and he wanted to go that way, and he's like, fine, I'll find my own way. That was pretty much an homage to that, and I thought that was great. And the last homage I saw was kind of more like an Easter egg than anything than an homage, actually. But you know, they did mention the Old Wounds comic of where Obi-Wan and Darth Maul face off for their final time. They basically were talking, and they said, let's close these old wounds, and that was a reference to the comic book in which Darth Maul dies again, but at the hands of Owen Lars instead of Obi-Wan. And it's if you look back, it's what I referenced that basically this episode would kind of play off of for the most part, because that's kind of where they were getting this whole storyline from. So that was pretty cool. But like I said, this episode was kind of full of the homages. You know, Ezra didn't really say anything about Obi-Wan to the Ghost Crew, so nothing canon-wise is spoiled. I liked how we got to see Luke at the end. A lot of people were kind of saying that he looked like a kid, but after rewatching it a second time, I was looking at it, and it's just the camera angle. It's not that Luke's a kid. He's still about 18, 19 years old in this. It's just the camera angle. You're so far off looking at the hut that, of course, Luke looks small. But if you look at his size in relation to the hut, he's pretty tall. And Leia's, I mean, the last time they showed Leia, she was, 16, 17 years old. So they have the ages right. Trust me, they wouldn't get Luke's as a kid and not get, and somehow Leia's a lot older. So, but overall, like I said, I think for someone who's a Star Wars fan like myself, and someone who's also a film buff like myself, definitely think that this episode was actually really well done. There's a lot of homage. There's a lot of underlying themes, such as when Obi-Wan did kill Maul. The red lightsaber on his face was kind of just one of those underlying themes that just kind of made it more thought-provoking and stuff like that. So, like I said, I liked the episode. I do think the fight could have been a little bit longer, but other than that, I don't think the episode was complete bullshit. If anything, yeah, they probably shouldn't have hyped it up as much as they did, knowing that they probably would have gotten this response from people. But I say bravo. I say bravo, Rebels. I'm so proud to see that samurai fight. I think it was a good ending and closing to Maul and Obi-Wan's story, and a good death for Maul too, with his dialogue and everything like that. I think it was fantastically done. But let me know how much you guys thought this episode was cancer in the comments. And remember to check out my other videos right here on the screen. And follow me on Twitter and stuff so you can keep up to date with the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.